This video was made possible by Skillshare. The first 200 people to sign up with the link in the description can learn for free for 2 months. Let's see. Guidelines for information and communication technology supply chain security, preparation and characterization of Charpy V-notch test pieces for indirect verification of pendulum impact machines, methods for the assessment of departure from roundness. This is going to be a good episode because it's about standardization, or rather, more specifically, ISO standard 3103, the internationally standard way of preparing a cup of tea. First, a bit of context. Way off in Geneva, Switzerland is this place, the International Organization for Standardization, a place that, according to this Google reviewer, is filled with, quote, snobby bureaucrats. But according to Urban Dictionary, bureaucrat is a not so nice word for officials running the European Union. But the people in this building are not working for or with the European Union at all, so this review is false. That's because the ISO is a supranational organization. It's above governments. 162 countries worldwide are members. Canada, Egypt, Japan, Panama, Peru, Finland. Just kidding, I'm not going to go list them all, but I will show you this super quick list because I don't have the budget to animate a map of the countries. All of the members, except for these ones, have their own organization of standards. For example, the US has the American National Standards Institute, France has the Association Française de Normalisation, and Japan has the Japanese Standards Association. This organization has created common standards for 21,802 products, objects, and processes so that things can work all across the world. For example, one of the best known ISO standards is for this, the shipping container, also known as the ISO container. The standardization and implementation of this container literally made it possible for manufacturers to make products on one side of the world and ship them to the other. That's because, no matter where you go in the world, ships, cranes, trains, and trucks will all be made to work with this one size of container. If every country or shipping company made their own container sizes, just imagine the amount of logistics it would take to get a container from continent to continent. Thanks to ISO standard 668, you know that every shipping container in the world will be exactly 8 feet wide. There's even an ISO standard on how to run a standards organization. But just like anything, ISO standards are not free, and they're not even cheap. For example, for all 12 parts of ISO standard 26262 about road vehicle safety, you'll have to shell up $1,600. But back to the cup of tea. ISO standard 3103. I knew any ISO standard with a controversy section on Wikipedia would make a good video, so I spent $40 plus shipping to get this 4-page document on how to make a cup of tea, because I hate money. It starts out by making a few definitions, then tells you what you need, a pot and a bowl. If you go to the annex, you learn that the larger pot has to have a maximum capacity of 310 milliliters plus or minus 8 milliliters, and the small pot 150 milliliters plus or minus 4 milliliters. You even get a page showing the exact dimensions of the pots and bowls you should use for this standard tea preparation. The exact tea preparation process is pretty standard until you get to this part. Prepare the liquid as described in 7.2.1, but pour it into a bowl after the milk. Most British people would vehemently protest this ordering, but according to the beginning of the document, the standard has been officially approved by the government of the United Kingdom. And the USSR? Perhaps being the more sensible inhabitants of the British Isles, the Irish have, however, officially expressed disapproval of ISO standard 3103. Now, before you go and say it's absurd that the ISO sells a tea recipe for so much, you have to consider the actual use for such a thing. Imagine researchers were doing a study on how ethnic backgrounds affect taste perception, with samples in Brazil, the UK, India, and Japan. The UK, India, and Japan are all tea-loving nations that would have no problem brewing a cup of tea. But it's entirely possible that researchers in Brazil would never have brewed tea before in their life. By all using ISO standard 3103, all 4 experiment sites would brew the exact same cup of tea, which eliminates the preparation of tea as a variable in the experiment. For this exact reason, there are also ISO standards for tons of other beverages and food like coffee, cereal, chocolate, juices, and more. So, if you want to be sure that you're a standard-conforming, bureaucracy-loving individual, just be sure to send Switzerland your $40 and buy this recipe for the internationally standard cup of tea. If you don't want to pay $40 but still don't know how to make tea, you can go to Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that has over 16,000 classes on pretty much anything and everything. If you want to learn something, chances are Skillshare can teach you. The opening line was not even a joke. There are dozens of classes about tea, but there are also some more useful classes about topics like graphic design, drawing, photography, and more. An annual membership gives you unlimited access to their classes for less than $10 a month. But the first 200 people to sign up over at skl.sh/HAI2 can learn whatever they want on Skillshare for free for their first 2 months, and they'll be supporting the channel while they're at it.